morning. It's Saturday, December 3rd, and today the World Cup knockout round starts, and the U.S. is playing Netherlands. And of course the U.S. is a great underdog in this game, I'm sure. The Netherlands, one of the ranking countries in the world. I believe they're ranked something like 8th. So the U.S. has to play their best possible game in order to advance. And I think that the Cinderella team in this tournament is not the U.S. because they eked their way in. They did what they had to do when they got in. It's Japan. I think Japan is the Cinderella team. I don't think anybody expected much of them. But they played extremely well, in fact. They beat Spain in their final game and won their group. So that's a team I think we have to watch closely in the knockout round. And I'll be watching all of these games. It's been a very exciting tournament. And I hope the U.S. wins their game today. But I have other things to talk about. And one of them has been the defeat, not the permanent defeat, but another defeat for Donald Trump. And this defeat leaves Donald Trump with a gaping hole, because it's one of his stalling tactics that has been now overthrown. A federal appeals court on Thursday removed the major obstacle called a special master review. And that major obstacle involves getting rid of the special master to review the hoarding of the government documents and ending this outside look at thousands of records that the FBI seized. Think about that. There are thousands of records to go through, and they're going to waste their time with the special master. Well, this 3-judge federal court has put an end to that piece of nonsense right now. And I don't know where Donald Trump can go to appeal this decision. I don't think he can get it to the Supreme Court. I don't know, but he's loaded with trickery, so maybe he'll figure out something, or his attorneys will figure out something. But right now, the proceeding by the FBI and the Department of Justice could go on without the interference of the special master. And this ruling was unsigned, but it was 21 pages long. And the 3-member appeals court were all Republicans. 2 of them had been appointed by Trump himself. One thing that was very unusual in this decision was the criticism that the 3 judges heaped upon Judge Aileen Cannon, a Trump appointee who sits in the Southern District of Florida. They said she had no legitimate jurisdiction to order the review or bar investigators from using the files. And there was no justification for treating Mr. Trump differently from any other target of a search warrant. Now, I don't think that judges criticize other judges unless there must be something terribly wrong with the other judge's decision. It's exceedingly ordinary, they said, for a warrant to be executed at the home of a former president, but not in a way that affects our legal analysis or otherwise gives judiciary license to interfere with an ongoing investigation. So they basically said she had no business interfering with an ongoing investigation. The panel also said there are limits when courts can interfere in a criminal investigation. And those limits apply no matter who the government is investigating. And to create a special exception here would defy our nation's fundamental principle that our laws apply to all, without regard to numbers, wealth, rank, or any other particular situation. And they were very critical of the judge, even going so far to say that she was young and inexperienced. Of course, she'd only been on the bench for about 15 months. So she had a lot to learn, and she really stepped out of bounds. And maybe she stepped out of bounds because of loyalty to Trump, and that would be entirely incorrect. Judges are supposed to have no loyalty except to the law of the land. The sad thing about this, in my opinion, is that the panel's ruling is set to take effect next Thursday. But there can be an appeal that could stop it, and that would be a terrible thing. So if none of these things happen, then Raymond J. Geary, who's the special master, his tenure would abruptly end. And at that point, Judge Cannon would be also required to dismiss Mr. Trump's lawsuit. So a lot is hanging in the balance this week, and let's hope it goes well for the country. And well for the country would mean that the Justice Department can get on with their investigation and that Mr. Trump's lawsuit would be torn up and thrown out. I'm not sure if Trump will go to the Supreme Court because they already overturned one of his requests involving 103 documents that were marked as classified when he wanted Judge Cannon to look at them, but the justices of the Supreme Court just ignored his request and didn't even write any notes about it. So they must have thought it was a pile of crap. So bottom line is that the appeals court ruling on Thursday was not a surprise, because during previous hearings, the panel indicated its deep skepticism of the legality of the unusual intervention by Judge Cannon. Now, poor Judge Cannon is taking a beating over this case. Who knows how long she'll last as a judge? It's very embarrassing for Judge Cannon, who's a young jurist and found herself in the middle of this politically sensitive case. Maybe she should have just said, screw it, I don't want any part of this thing. Why do I want to get involved in this mess? But maybe she thought she was doing the right thing, but she violated a bunch of legal tenets. And that's a serious offense if you're on the judiciary and you show partiality toward the person who is, I will call him the claimant in this case. Because, she should have been smart enough to say you don't have a leg to stand on. It's a warrant. Once this warrant is issued, then they've gone through everything legally. You can't do a damn thing about it. So I don't know why she did this terrible action on her part that violated the law. Who knows? And maybe that's part of the problem in this country, that there are people who are doing things that they shouldn't be doing and they're getting away with it. And certainly we know that Donald is one of those leading perpetrators of that particular type of crime. And the mere fact that he has the balls to decide that he's going to run again for the presidency with all of this legal stuff hanging over his head, when we are trying to prove to the world that no matter who you are, you still have to obey the law. So this is just maybe a little bump in the road, but maybe it's a big enough bump to keep Donald out of our faces for a while. I doubt it, because he seems impervious to what's going on around. He's fixated on one thing, and that's himself. I leave you with that this morning. I'm tired of talking about him. Have a great day. Bye.